Hello, and today I'm bringing you something a little bit different. It's a classic drive without a drive. It's just a car. It's more a classic stand. Goes for a sit. But I was here today at Sussex Classics to drive something different, and this was here on the forecourt, and I couldn't not bring it to you. There are 3 of these in the country, and I more or less guarantee you don't know what it is unless you read the file name caption at the beginning of the video. It's a 1966 Simca 1000 Bertone Coupe. And just look at it, isn't it beautiful? I've never seen, well, I have seen things as pretty as this, but not many. I'm not wearing a Simca badge. Now the reason I'm not driving it today is because it's not long in from France and it's not gone through an MOT yet, and it needs a couple of jobs doing before I start getting behind the wheel and driving the thing. And the chances are it might sell very fast and I might not get the chance to ever see it again, so here we are just walking around it and drinking in the prettiness of it all. Now in case you're not familiar with the story of the Simca 1000 Coupe Bertone bodied blah blah blah. Now Simca launched the 1000 Saloon as a sensible, boxy little family car in France in about 1961. It was a huge hit at home, but outside France it wasn't really catching the public's imagination, and so they wanted to come up with something to tackle or rival the Renault Floride and have their own little coupe that would bring attention to their brand and their sensible saloon car. Now initially they approached Facel, as in Facel Vega Company, to come up with a workable solution using their underpinnings and a new custom-built, coach-built body. But Henry Pigozzi, the director of Simca, was concerned about the financial stability of Facel and thought they might, go bust halfway through the project and leave them hanging in the lurch. So the project was offered instead to Bertone, who had a young intern guy working in the drawing office, some guy called, hang on, let me get my notebook. I'm not sure how you pronounce this, Giorgetto Giugiario. He drew it and he did quite a good job, because when it was launched at the Geneva Motor Show in late 1962, it went down a storm, and until 1972 when it went out of production they managed to shift 10,500 of these, including the 1200cc ones which were introduced later on. Now underneath this very, very beautiful skin, it's actually completely ordinary, just Simca saloon car. It's the same chassis, steering, suspension, underpinnings, but because it's a smaller, lighter, lower body, it gives it a lower centre of gravity for better road holding and better handling. The way it came together was that Bertone built the bodies and then they were shipped on a specially adapted train to the Poissy factory in France, where they were mated or joined to the French Simca chassis. That factory is still around, it's now part of the PSA group. I'm not sure what they build there. I think it's a Peugeot. Now these aren't the original wheels. The original wheels are in fact on the back seat. Now of course, being based on a Simca 1000 saloon car, the engine is here in the back. It's a 944cc inline 4 hanging out behind the rear axle, which I imagine could give some quite lively handling, but because it's a sports car, it's got a power upgrade. Significantly, by raising the compression of the engine, it's gone from 45 bhp in the saloon to 52 horsepower here in the coupe. That also raises the top speed from 78 miles an hour to 87. Now looking around this engine bay, it looks like it's had a fair amount of work done in the past. Well, first of all the inner wings and structure is painted in like a silver hammerite type rust-proof paint, which is good, but it looks like the head and this timing cover have either been cleaned or replaced, because they look like very fresh aluminium, and I can see blue gasket seal on virtually every joint, so it looks like someone's had this engine apart fairly recently. Let's see if it runs. Well, yes it does. It sounds like a Volkswagen though. It's quite amusing. Look how tiny. Look how tiny this carburettor is. This air cleaner is minuscule. It's like baby motoring. This is a 1966 car. In 1967, the engine was enlarged to a 1200, which gave it better performance, and you can tell that if you're not sure by the fact the radiator moved to the front end of the car. It does sound like Herbie. I want this car, it's so cute. Now, one vaguely hilarious thing about cars of this era is that although the lights on the outside look really beautifully designed, very sleek, very integrated. I'm not sure what these are from. Maybe like I'm trying to work this out. Ever since I've seen these, I've been trying to figure out what these came from. They look a bit like an Opel Manta, but I'm sure they're not. But you look behind them, it's all exposed wires and bullet connectors, just waiting to get snagged and tangled and broken and give you dodgy electrics. And here we have the certificate d'assurance, the insurance certificate from 2016 to 2017, October. So it was on the road in France 2 years ago. The hood release, or bonnet, front trunk, frunk, whatever you want to call it, I don't know, release for this thing is the most ridiculously tiny metal bar. It looks like the end of a bit of, like a coat hanger, sticking down from underneath the dashboard. When you push that forward, here in the front we've got an okay-ish sized load space really. We've got a standard spare wheel there anyway, and then we've got the other original, or the fourth of the original alloys that came with the car. You've also got the back of the side lights and headlights waiting to get doinked by your luggage, and a spare Weber 35-ish carb, or ISH carb by 2. Oh, someone's getting a bargain with this car. We're going to explore the interior together. Whoa, getting in is quite tight, getting your legs underneath the wheel. That's extremely tight indeed. Now, oops, a French number plate digging in my back, along with what is apparently the original steering wheel that came with this car. This is a sort of fake wood-grained, almost like a Motor-Lita style Simca steering wheel. This is the original wheel from the car. This ISO Delta leather steering wheel, which is a similar metal pattern, is an aftermarket. But I can only imagine getting into the car with this on would be virtually impossible. You lose like another 5 centimetres of legroom. Your legs like pipe cleaners to climb in. Also on the back seat, well, there is a back seat, it's worth mentioning. There are the other 3 original alloy wheels that came with this car. Now, these seats are beautiful. The vinyl is still just supple and shiny. It kind of looks like an Opel Manta again, like the back lights. It looks and feels like an Opel Manta A from the early 70s, these seats. But, oh, round out. Sitting up in them, I can tell you there's not a lot of headroom. And by not a lot, I mean none at all. I think you have to put up with some sacrifices for beauty or something, they say, don't they? But yeah, there's zero headroom. My head is pushing into the headlining, and I'm only 5'11". But yeah, driving position is very Italian. For a French car, it's the most Italian French car I've ever sat in, because my feet are virtually across the transmission tunnel. In fact, pushing my foot on the accelerator bangs into the transmission tunnel. Of course, it's not transmission, it's rear-engined. But despite that, the steering wheel is roughly off to my right. The pedals are very much to my right. Now, this coupe gets a far more opulent and interesting interior than the saloon car ever did. In case you're wondering what it looked like, it's this little square thing. It looks a bit like a DAF, or a very small Fiat 127 actually. But in the coupe, you get this wonderful kind of curvaceous padded dashboard with these twin vents pointing at the, well, in the style of lots of 60s sports cars. And we'll start over on the right. On the passenger side, you've got a little pull-down latch to get into the little metal lid of the glove box. Oh, there's some history in here. 55,212, April 18. So, even though it's not on the road in the UK, or may have been briefly, I don't know. It's done, according to this, 84,000 miles. It's done 30,000 miles in the last year. I find that very hard to believe. Well, there is an OSO retro sticker here, which suggests it's been in the UK for at least a couple of months. Now, in case you are not aware it was designed by Giugiaro, there is a Design Giugiaro sticker taken from the wing of a Punto here in the middle of the dashboard. Now, although the top of the dashboard is beautifully sculpted, padded black vinyl with like nice white double stitching, and below it, it's also sort of finished with another strip of lovely black vinyl with beautiful piping. The actual dash itself is plain grey steel. It's like a solid metal dash. There's a space in the middle that would have once housed an old 60s style radio, the smaller sub-din size where you push the 2 dials through the dash itself, and below that little ashtray. But here's the good bit, here's the stuff that really matters in front of the driver. You've got these wonderful Jaeger dials. There are 4 badged with Jaeger. In the centre, you've got your your water temperature, going up to 130 degrees centigrade. To the left of that, you've got your electronique TR per minute by 100, your rev counter. And it's got a stuck-on red line at 6,000, and the needle actually goes all the way to 8,000. I've no idea if this engine revs like that at all. It'd be amazing if it did. And finally, on the right-hand side, you've got your Jaeger, speedo and trip, resettable trip, which goes up to 100. And over to the left of that, I love this little dial. It's facing very much away from the driver and it's completely obscured by the wheel rim, but it's your press wheel, or oil pressure, up to 6. To the right, it looks weirdly aftermarket. It's in the correct place, but it doesn't have the same Jaeger marking. So I wonder if the original dial broke and someone's replaced it with just a cheap one from somewhere, a fuel gauge. Scattered around, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 just random unmarked little warning lights, which you, I guess, figure out as you go along. You've got your windscreen wipers. Oh, they work. That's nice. Oops. Working wipers. Oh, interior fan on a little turning dial. A push button, which I think might be windscreen washers, but doesn't do anything. Oh, horn. That's a weird place for a horn. It's on a sticky out little bar. How hilarious. And then indicators, and I'm going to guess indicators and lights. I can only imagine. Again, nothing's marked, so you're very much on your own. We have got sun visors, a mirror for the passenger because luxury, and a grab handle on the passenger side. And in the seats, this is quite unusual these days. You've got seat belts on for the driver and passenger, which is fantastic, but they latch weirdly. I'm not quite sure how you undo these things. They click straight on to this big central hoop, so you're both sharing the same combined latch point for both the driver and passenger. How curious. I was thinking it had carpet in here, but it's not. It's just big floor mats. It is rubber lined in here. The flooring is all completely rubberized. That's and textured, so you've got a kind of a grippy pattern. There's no storage, no stowage anywhere on the floor. No cubbies, no bins. There is a leather Simca badged gear knob. Reverse. Yeah, I think this is it could be a 5-speed actually. Only one way to find out. No. Oh, it's a 5. And the reverse will be back there. Yeah, this is a 5-speed gearbox. That's really impressive for 1966. It was an expensive car though, although it did earn the nickname of the pseudo-sportive, which, as in the bad translation, fake sports car, because with the performance it's not that impressive. You've got a nice stainless steel handbrake here, clicky on, and just between the two of them, because the engine's in the rear, your choke is on the floor. Now your doors have got these wonderful push-down chrome latches to get in and out. That's a lovely, pull-up latch. It works both ways, who knew? Nice little dainty window winder for the main window, and these lovely cast knurled aluminium knobs for your quarter lights. The thing is, this car, I think, may have been sat around for a while. Certainly it's been in the UK not very long, and it hasn't been registered yet for this country. But everything seems to work. I'm just going around pushing buttons and prodding stuff, but it all seems to be going just perfectly. Oh, also there's a big door pocket as well, I missed that, with a very, very 1960s little bit of decoration to kind of pull your door pocket. Well, I'm sorry I can't take you for a drive in this today, but I'm glad I was able to show it to you. Maybe in the future I'll do more, just walk around if I come across unbelievably rare cars. As I say, there's only 3 in the country, there's a chance I'll never see another one again. So I really had to bring this to you, regardless of the fact I can't take it anywhere and you can only just sit and idle it in the driveway. But thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments if you did. Please hit like and subscribe, that really makes a huge difference to the channel. If you'd like to see more just general everything videos, then please consider going to the Patreon site, because that makes a massive difference. Even like £1 a month or every now and then keeps this channel going, means I can afford to take a day off work and come and do this kind of nonsense. I'll see you again next time. Thank you and goodbye.